Hi, my name's Karen and I work for Cernit, a polymer clay manufacturer based in Belgium, distributed throughout the UK by Clayground. In today's video I'm going to be showing you some basic cane techniques. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a bullseye cane. The bullseye cane is the simplest cane that you can make, and once you've mastered this cane you will be able to go on to make lots more complex canes. The word cane means a two-dimensional design inside a three-dimensional roll, and this design goes all the way through from end to end. So to start the cane, I've conditioned some blue clay and I've rolled the clay into a sort of tube. And then what I've done is I've rolled out three different colours. I've got a white, a pink and a green. I've rolled them on the thickest setting of the pasta machine. If you don't have a pasta machine, you can just use a roller. And what I've done is I've cut them already into rectangles. So I'm going to take the blue clay and I'm going to put the blue clay on one end of the white, and I'm just going to roll the white clay around the blue. Now I'm just going to take the knife. If you just rock forwards with your cane, you will see a line there where you can then simply cut with your blade. But don't worry if it's a little bit too much or too less, because you can just trim off, and if you've got a little bit less, the clay does just squeeze together nicely. So just give it a little bit of a press here and there, and then just put that to one side, and then we're going to use the pink. So in exactly the same way. What you need to remember is that you don't want any air bubbles in between the colours, so just make sure that you're squeezing slightly all the time and you're rolling quite tight. So if I just roll this forward, you can just see a line going across there. So there we go. That's obviously not cut it right on the line. That should be just right. So just squeezing together, just give it a little bit of a press. And the last colour I'm using is the green. So lay the cane onto the green, and it just gives you a rough guide. If you just roll the cane over like that, you will just see a faint line. So I'm just pressing all the ends together, and now I'm going to show you how to reduce the cane to get it to go quite small, like this one. So always start from the middle, because what you're doing is you're pushing any air bubbles that are trapped in there from the middle to the ends. So working your way from the centre and pushing out towards the ends. Once you've done that, you can then begin to roll. Now you need to do this quite slowly, because if you do it quite quickly then you will get air bubbles in there, and we really don't want those. So just quite slowly, once we get it to around about that length, we can then cut off the ends, put those to one side. Just remember that these ends aren't waste. We'll show you something we can do with the scrap pieces in a different video. Cut the middle, and there you have your bullseye cane. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you how to make a swirl cane with added stripes. So I've taken two colours this time, a brown and a pink. Make sure you do have two contrasting colours. They look better once it's rolled up. You can see that nice distinctive contrast. So I've rolled out two different colours with on the thickest setting of the pasta machine. Just decide which colour that you want on the outside. I'm going to have brown on the outside, so the brown is going to be at the bottom and the pink is going to be at the top. So I'm going to lay the pink on the top, just give it a little bit of a smooth, and then just leaving a little bit of brown just at one end. This brown edge here we're going to be folding over, well, it's more rolling really, so it's rolling just like that, just over the edge. Just remember that you don't want any air bubbles in your cane, so very slowly and keep it quite tight, start to roll the two colours together. Once you've rolled them together like that, you can then just press with your fingers, press the brown over that little edge, just to neaten that edge up a little bit. And now, I know it looks a little bit messy at either end, but we can start to reduce, and then once I've cut down the middle, you can see that the pattern is still there and it's all the way through. So just squeezing again from the centre outwards. With the blade, I'm just going to cut off the ends. Start to roll again. Just remember you need to do this really slowly. If you were to do it quickly, then you would create air bubbles in the cane and you really don't want those. So once the cane gets to about that length, I'm going to cut in half, and there you have your swirl cane. But I'm going to put that to one side because we're going to add some stripes. So I've just made it quite small. Now for the stripes, you want to stack like this. So you roll out some white clay and some brown clay on the thickest setting of the pasta machine, or you can use a roller. And all you do is you lay one colour on top of the other, cut in half, and then again lay the colours on top of one another so that you have the white, the brown, white and brown. Trim off around the edges. So once you've trimmed the edges, it should look a little bit like that one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take slices from this block. So just small slices, and we're going to lay these slices all the way around the cane. So just remember that if you've got a brown stripe, then you want a white stripe next to the brown. Just give it a little bit of a press together. So just arrange these stripes all the way around your cane. Now I've only got a small gap there, probably not enough room there for another cane, so I'm just going to take some of the strips off just so I'm left with a white and a brown. and I'm just going to place that in there and squeeze together. Going to squeeze again from the centre outwards. Give it a little roll. And then cut at either end, and there you have your swirly striped cane. Now I'm going to show you what you can do with your simple canes. I've made some buttons and some beads. So for the bead, first of all, I've taken some red clay. I've rolled the red clay into a ball, and I've taken the red bullseye cane that I made, and I've cut away some tiny slices. Then I've taken the slices and just randomly place these slices all over the clay. So once you've got the slices all over the clay, just give them a little bit of a press and then begin to roll in your hands. And there you have a bead. To make the hole in your bead, I've just used a cocktail stick. So cocktail stick in the bead, pushing and turning so as not to distort the bead too much. And there you have a bead. Now I'm going to show you how to do a button. So I've rolled some brown clay through the pasta machine, and I've taken off lots of little slices using the blade. So I've used a combination this time of all the canes, of the two different canes that I've shown you how to make, and just randomly just place on all the slices. Then I'm going to take an acrylic block. I'm just going to press the slices a little bit, just with the acrylic block. And then you can use a cutter, but I'm just using a lid off a jar. And I'm just going to press down. And there's your circle for your button. To make the buttonholes, it's just a cocktail stick. And there's one hole, and there's two. Just pick it up again, just make them slightly bigger. So there you have a button and a bead, all from your canes. I hope you've enjoyed making these simple canes.